Hello, my lovely friends. I am Jayanne, and we're going to talk today about this is kind of a part two from what we talked about last time, having to do with the Garden of Eden, but this is diving deeper into the wounded masculine. So, if you didn't watch the first one, this probably will make a lot more sense if you watched the first video, so go watch that one. Okay. And if you want to heal your pain, your wounds, your sin, sin is a loose term, which I defined in my last video as well, then just all you have to do is feel into divine love, and divine love is what allows us to heal everything. And if you'd like to have a little guidance in tapping into your divine love, go check out my website at courses.jayannehealing.com, and that will help you, kind of guide you, because sometimes it's tough to get started, or it's tough to feel like we're really loved, because there's not a lot of examples of that out in the world. So I had started by speaking about Genesis. One thing I do want to say, which I also said in my last video, but it's important to re-say it, is I am currently not a Christian. I grew up in a very highly Christian family with highly Christian ideals, and that was fine. It was my choice many years ago to take that label off of my heart and accept that I'm allowed and allow myself to see wisdom everywhere. So I am allowed to, I feel everything that I am inspired by is okay. And so when I had that label on, and this isn't necessarily true for everyone, but when I had that label on, I didn't feel the permission to seek wisdom in lots of places. And I was only allowed to look in one place, and I had to use the translation of that one place, right, the Bible. I had to use the specific belief system and the culture of the Christian faith that I had to listen to it the way they wanted me to listen to it. And that really, I didn't feel like that was for me. Some people want to be told how to believe things, and that's totally fine. It's just not me. So I have not renounced Jesus in any way, although I had a reaction to his name for a very long time. Because of all of the wounding of the people that would use his name in a terrible, mean way, and didn't realize that they were being mean, right? So that's my kind of context here. And so we were talking in Genesis, we were talking about the fall of man. And the truth of the matter that I could see is that it wasn't necessarily the fall of humankind from God's love, but it was more of a fall of man's perception. Okay, this was not about woman's perception. This was about man's perception of himself and of the world and of God and where his things come from. So a lot of times, and in that video we talked a lot about like Native cultures and how the westernized belief systems have essentially infected Native cultures with this curse that that Adam believed he was given by God. Okay, and so if you believe a curse is true, you're going to act as if that curse is true. Now, God is love, and God does not curse his children. Okay, that is the original sin. That's the original belief system, that we are cursed by God. Like, who can undo that curse except God, right? And that's the point of Jesus. The point of Jesus was to say, okay, God is love. Let's believe that. God is love. And so if God is love, did God actually curse us? The answer is no. But the metaphors of that time, it didn't make sense to say, hey guys, just like forget this curse because it never happened. It wasn't really a curse. It was your reaction, it was Adam's reaction to whatever it is that God actually said. And we don't know what God actually said because it's filtered through the perception of Adam and then all of the men that came after Adam to revisit that time and that space. Okay? That's why this is history. His story. It is a story about healing the perception of men. And the feminine here, and this is a story of healing the wounded masculine, the pain of the masculine. This is not a story really of healing the wounded feminine per se, except that all of the wounds that were inflicted as a result of this, because woman represents this very important connection to the earth. This very, very important connection to both the seen and the unseen worlds, right? Like we give birth, we bring souls into this world. And that's why childbirth was the only curse that women had, because it didn't really impact our psyches as much as it did for men. Now, all of that time has had plenty of time to impact women's psyches, okay? I'm not saying that there is no wounded feminine. What I'm saying is that time, the feminine didn't get as bothered by eating the fruit of the tree as the masculine did. And so the wounded feminine is here to heal the wounded feminine, but also to remind the wounded masculine that they are loved unconditionally, and that curses, that this curse that for thousands of years can be released. And this is one of the biggest reasons why these times in history, women are regularly, the anger is taken out on women, because they remind them of this curse. But the reason that we're reminding them of the curse is not to just poke fun. It's completely to remind them that they can heal it, that they can remove it. That we together can remove this curse and no longer feel like everything's a struggle. Because that's pretty much what the curse says, is everything's going to be struggle. You're going to suffer forever and ever. And the curse is the original sin. Right? The eating of the fruit is not necessarily the original sin. God said, don't do this, you did this. And then God cursed. God cursed his children. That seems weird to me. That seems very, very weird to me. Because God is love. Love does not curse their children. So again, this is a perception thing that was that started with guilt. It started with shame. The original feelings that are described of Adam's is shame and guilt. We were ashamed, so we covered ourselves. And then after that, everything was filtered through this belief system of I am shameful and I'm guilty. And anything God could have said after that, it could have been oh, my children, I love you so much. All I want is the best for you. But from Adam's perception, he was already in a lens of shame and guilt. And so he took on this curse, and his entire bloodline and everyone who interacted with his children were cursed. So this is why Jesus was necessary in my mind. This is why Jesus was even necessary, because people could not figure out that they had this curse, but it was all a curse of belief. And so Jesus came to kind of wipe all of that clean and say, okay, God is love, guys. God, my Father loves us. Do not toil. The lilies in the field do not toil. Why must you toil? Do not worry. all of these things are a secondary effect of this curse, but also it's an effect of recognizing that not everything is perfect, right? And so part of what we're dealing with is like going, okay, not everything is perfect. I have a lot in my control, but there's also like a lot of stuff that I don't like that happens that's out of my control. And then on top of that, there's this curse of everything's going to be hard. Everything's going to be a lot of work. Everything's painful. I will work really hard and not get anything out of it. That's basically what the curse from God said. Anyway, so Jesus came and was like, stop worrying. Like, seriously, stop worrying, guys. Okay. You're okay. We're all okay. And they didn't like that, right? Because it was proof that you can heal this curse. But one of my favorite concepts is Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Why is this even important? Why is that concept even valuable, right? Because if Jesus lived at one time and Jesus came to heal, right? Why do we care that Jesus was also there before he was there, right? And essentially, this is a healing. This is a clearing sentence. And it basically means in all space and all time, this is cleared. This curse is released in all space and all time. Now, part of the problem is that we're perpetuating this curse even after Jesus has come because we're afraid that, because we've treated it as if like we did something wrong and now then Jesus healed it, like that, fixed it, right? Instead of being like, okay, this is this, right? Let's say this is a tree or something like that, right? Tree is a great metaphor for this situation, obviously. Okay, so if you break a tree and it's bent over like this, and then you kind of like try to fix it by going like this, okay? This is how we believe that Jesus came to heal in a lot of cases, but really what it's about is complete restoration. And so that means undoing the curse. That means completely allowing ourselves not to worry. And every time we allow ourselves not to worry, this curse reminds us, oh, it's time to worry now. We're going to worry some more. So my challenge to you today is to, every time you have a worrisome thought, spend some time with that thought and say, look, what is the underlying situation here? And okay, so I guess I need to tell you this. Okay, so when the Black Lives Matter, not the movement, but like the sentence came up and people were saying this regularly, what I've learned from empathy is that if you want to neutralize someone else's pain, you empathize, right? And so the best way to empathize with someone is to literally just say back what they said, because they just want to be heard. They want to know you heard what they said, not that you like heard what they said, integrated it, and here's your output, here's your opinion on what they said. They want to just know that they heard what you said, or that you heard what they said. So when Black Lives Matter started happening, and people were saying that over and over again, I realized it's not an attack. It's literally just a mantra, and that the more we say that back, the more, even to ourselves, even if I didn't even like post it anywhere or say it out loud, I found that even to myself, I was feeling incredible. Okay, and what I did was I was just like saying it out loud in my car while I was driving for like half an hour. Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. And all of this like secret racism came up. And I was like, I'm the most like aware, like kind, like trying to be caring person in the world. And all of this like random secret racism came up. And then once I got through my own, I started feeling like stuff that wasn't even mine, thoughts I had never even had. And so I started to clear out these thoughts of things that were like inside the population. So all of that to say is, if you are feeling very much like upset or triggered by something, find the antidote. Find the sentence or the phrase that will make that part of yourself feel heard. And just kind of say it to yourself over and over and over again. Because like I said, the best way to express empathy, even if it's empathy for yourself, is to say the thing exactly, not to change it and say something else in response to what they said, but to say the thing back that they said, because that tells people you heard them. Okay. That one was awfully vulnerable. So I hope that you liked that. Comment below with what your findings are with the, interacting with the things that I've said, or what your findings, even if you're like, Jan, you're nuts. I don't like anything you said. It was all terrible and it was the worst. And I'm like, cool, that's totally fine, because I'm not here to say I have all the answers. I don't. These are just some things that I've learned as I've studied certain things. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, and have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon.